I'm Aaron Sagers, and this is Talking Strange. Hello and ho ho ho, spooky nerds. Welcome back to Talking Strange, the paranormal pop culture show. I'm Aaron Sagers, and it's going to be a scary, creepy Christmas, which is the way I like it, because we're talking about Shudder's all-new holiday special, the Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors, which is out Tuesday, December 16th on Shudder and AMC Plus. Now, fans of Talking Strange and the paranormal and horror, you know that Christmas and creepy go together so well. It's like milk and cookies. We've got Grillo, we got the Grinch, we got Krampus. All goes well together. The Gremlins, it all fits together. Which is why the Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors, it's for me. I think it's for you. This is a 4-part anthology special, executive produced by those new horror icons, modern horror icons, the Boulet Brothers, Swanthula Boulet and Dracmorda Boulet, who you also know from the Boulet Brothers Dragula reality competition series. Also, Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors is executive produced by actor, writer, producer David Dastmalchian, friend of Talking Strange. And these holiday-themed horror tales are all showcases of spookiness, horror, scary, fun, each created by a different powerhouse within the genre. So the Boulet Brothers and David, they each write and direct their own story. We also have Akela Cooper, who is a writer and co-creator of the Megan franchise, Megan with the 3, as well as writer of Malignant. We also have a story written and directed by Kate Siegel, who we know from The Haunting of Hill House and Gerald's Game. And this special, it has a little bit of it all. And it's like a little bit of a throwback to old holiday specials of yore, but with a very modern horror twist, because David Dastmalchian is this zombified Frankenstein horror host that is woken up, given a jolt of electricity, and joins the Boulet Brothers as horror hosts in the Boulet mansion. And it looks fun. It's gorgeous. And this is my jam. I want you to check it out. And so we're doing 4 episodes of Talking Strange talking about this. They kind of came together very quickly. So I hope you're digging this. First up, we're going to talk to the Boulet Brothers themselves, because in addition to being executive producers and being the horror hosts of this, they also are the writers and directors of Gaudet, which is the first story that we encounter in the anthology. And the synopsis is as such. After inheriting their grandmother's old house, a family attempts to settle in on Christmas Eve, but as strange sounds echo through the halls and tensions rise, an unseen presence forces them to face a chilling secret buried within the home. So that's written and directed by Dracmorda and Swanthula Boulet. So let's get to it. Let's talk to the Boulet Brothers about the Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors on Shudder and AMC Plus. The Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors, I saw it, I loved it, I'm digging it. How did this whole collaboration come together with Shudder and David Dastmalchian?
So we did a halfway to Halloween special the previous year, and it was a lot of fun making it. Though that one was more, the concept was a 60s TV special. Like that's what we were inspired by. So we wanted to make a new version of that. And that one was a lot campier. This one, it's something we've been talking about since then, because people were like, do you want to do another holiday special? And we're like, yes, but we really want to tackle Christmas and the winter holiday, because to us, I think it's the most disturbing time of year. It's when things, the days are the darkest and the nights are the longest, and it's cold and creepy, and it's inspiring to us as horror creators. And David, is a good friend of ours. He's inspired by the same thing. So we were just like, yeah, we want to do another one, but we wanted to be Christmas themed and a little more Tales from the Crypt. And luckily, Shudder was supportive of it.
Right. Swanthula, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Drac checks off all the boxes. But just to reiterate, David is a friend of ours in life. So we spend a lot of time with him outside of just working, and we know his family, and we have a great energy. He truly is like a great partner to work with because he has a love of horror just as much as we do. We like to call him like the modern day Vincent Price. So it was kind of easy to riff creatively on like, oh yes, this would be cool. And just the ideas, we just kind of helped each other develop, and it just got better and better because of the collab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, sorry, go on, Drac.
No, I think one of the things that we connect with David on really well is we're both scrappy creators. We're more concerned with getting our rocks off creatively than enriching ourselves. So I know both of us in our projects are like, I don't care about that part of it. We get excited about the creative part, not the finance part, and we kind of put everything we have into it. And I think that's what satiates the three of us the most.
Yeah. And David has become a friend to me personally as well as a friend to the show. He's been on the Talking Strange show with Den of Geek many times. So I love talking to him as a monster kid, but also love seeing him on your Shutter show. So this was I also, I mean, Christmas, yes, I agree. I mean, I talk a lot about spooky things and I talk a lot about sort of Christmas monsters, the origins of it outside of the cute and cuddly stuff. But there's also a different kind of aesthetic when you're approaching Christmas, and especially then when you're combining with the horror element. And I feel like we're seeing that a lot with these hosted segments between you two and with David. So give me a little bit more insight into the visuals of the hosted segments that you wanted to set out to accomplish. Because it looks gorgeous, but it's also delightfully creepy.
Yeah,
Thank
Yeah.
you.
we're sort of expanding our the Boulet Manor as our hosting area. You see that decorated very differently, but in the Boulet Brothers Dracula Titans, the last season that just aired, you're introduced to that hosting segment, and we have like the wolf puppet rug and all that. So I think you're just seeing a little more of that, and of course, it's decorated for the holidays.
Right. And I love your outfits on this.
Thank you.
They're
Thank
gorgeous.
you.
The Now let's talk a little bit about the your segment, because we have the hosted segments, which you're executive producers, but you're also serving as directors on, and then your story, your vignette, Gaudette, correct?
Yeah.
W-
Uh-huh.
Talk me through, because you both directed this, and wrote it. So talk me through the concept behind it, and I believe this is the first thing that's really at this level that you've directed, right? So just walk me through that process and the concept behind it.
Initially, we wanted to show people a different side of us as filmmakers because, you don't kind of get to pick what what people know you for in your career, right? Like we do a lot of different things. And it just so happened that our show, the Boulet Brothers Dracula, happened to really pick up and take off and define us for audiences. But as creators, the two of us are interested in a lot more than that. Maybe more so in scripted and horror. And people haven't been able to get to see that side of us yet. So I think for us, it was just fun to flex that and share that. And yeah, and it was a real collaboration between the two of us. I think for me, the idea of like, a revenant spirit or a vampire, traditionally in some cultures, it's not like some, pretty Dracula guy that comes and seduces you. It's an undead driving force behind a family member, which I think is kind of terrifying. So because the holidays are so much about family, the two of us were like, wait, this is a perfect time to merge these concepts together.
Yeah, Swan, you want to add to that?
No, I think drag covered it.
There's also the concept of, there's the around the holidays more than any other time we have to confront the family there's the family we choose, there's the family we're born into, and then there's the family that we end up with through marriage or divorces and things like that. And then occasionally the unwelcome family that decides to make a visit. So you kind of pack all of this in there in a very tight, short segment. The the other, but you also, with these other stories, you've gathered a, a bunch of directors that are established that are doing really interesting things. Talk to me about assembling this dream team of these other directors, and did they already have these stories ready to go and it made for a perfect fit with this holiday special, or did you come up to them and say like, "Hey, Kate Siegel, write something for us"? So talk about pulling this team together and the stories that they had.
Yeah, well, I think that that part was kind of organic and dare I say easy. Since we started doing Dragula and with his success, but just also the format of having horror creators be part of the judges panel has really allowed us to get to know these people just as people. Like we're all sitting up in the booth. So yes, we're doing our job and we're judging the competition, but we really get to know them sort of outside of those responsibilities. And it's like, oh, we forge friendships. So when this idea started to grow about having an anthology and like, yeah, let's give everybody, their own voice and revolve it all around the holidays. And that can mean so many different things to different people. It was kind of easy to just cast the net out to the network that we had already created through Dragula and just through being horror hosts in our own right. And we were like, write whatever you want. Like, of course, we'll have a say. Like, we'll give notes or like green light and stuff. So none of this stuff, as far as I know, had already been thought about. We told them, here's the format. We gave them, sort of like the prompt, and then they came up with great stuff. We were really happy.
Yeah, and with Gaudette, with yours, we have, of course, also it's worth noting Bonnie Aarons, who shows up. Who we see in a human form in photos, but also Bonnie shows up, and then you have sort of this straight Christmas supernatural horror. We have Yeti or Not from David and Leah Kilpatrick, and the that's got that comedic twist to it, and an old acquaintance is sort of back to like a supernatural horror, and then down the chimney really it reminds you of it's stop motion reminds you of the Rankin and Bass holiday specials. The combination of these, was there anything you wanted to do that didn't quite work out as far as incorporating a style? Was the plan all along to have these different tonal shifts, include some comedy in it and whatnot? Tell me about those.
Well, I think when Kate, we were like, hey, Kate, like we basically gave everyone like an open slate. We're like, here's kind of the really small parameters. We each have to do a short. It's this, it's that. Throw us some ideas. And when Kate came back with that one, I was like, this is perfect because I also love those old Christmas stop motion things. And it gives you that holiday feeling. So I'm like, we have to include that in this. It's important because it gives you that vibe like you're sitting at home watching, these Christmas specials. But yeah, we wanted it to be a variety of things. We wanted people to do what they wanted. That was the selling point. I'm like, what do you want to do? Because that's what we want you to do. We don't want to be like you need to make it serious or campy or whatever. Go whichever direction you want. Yeah, so I think we just wanted people to have fun making their shorts.
And was there any vignettes that, due to the time constraints, you couldn't quite fit in, or things maybe you've set aside for the next Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors if you're able to do it? Swan?
Yeah,
Well,
we were okay.
if
Yeah.
anything, we had multiple concepts that we would have liked to see done, like from ourselves, and we even talked about like doing like sort of faux commercials during the special, but that kind of harken back to like creepy stuff from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Yeah, so but this year was so insanely busy, not just for us, but also for David. So we had tons of lofty ideas, but some of them have to be saved for the future.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I think too some other filmmakers that we were originally hoping to have on, just time didn't allow. Don Mancini and Brian Fuller both we were talking with about having shorts, but you know what? There's always next Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking my language as far as people that I love hearing from and speaking with, as in Don and Brian, and yeah. So, and I think the commercials, I'd love to see that down the road. The any good any personal good scary Christmas stories? Anything you've experienced, either family interactions or something a little bit on the spooky side from the holiday seasons? Either of you have you've encountered?
I
I
mean,
have a story that scared the shit out of me. It probably was like the most scared I ever was. It was right around Christmas. I grew up in the Northeast. The New England winters are just terrible, treacherous. And we had this big oak tree in my neighbor's yard that loomed over our house. The thing was like 100 feet tall, and and during the storm, branches were falling on the house. So it was just scary as a kid. I'm like, that's scary in itself. But then I woke up and I heard my mother on the phone in the kitchen, and she said that she had seen a man in the front yard staring at the house. And I was like, what? I mean, it's like the middle of the night. So I'm creeping down the hall, half asleep, just rubbing my eyes, and there kind of in the distance is my mom on the phone. And I scared her so badly. She screamed like this epic bloody murder scream, like right out of a horror movie. That totally it scared me, and it sent me into like this little fit. Like I started shaking and I actually dropped to the ground. It was super horrifying.
Wow. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Drac?
no, I nothing particularly has happened. I just, as a demented little kid, when it was Christmas time, I literally just fantasized so many horror stories because to me, it's creepy. Like usually, normal people are all about summer and sun and, the night is scary and all that. And I'm like, I just saw it as such a creepy time of year and it just inspired me. So, yeah, nothing particularly happened that I witnessed. I just kind of made up a lot of stuff in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Florida. I live in New York City now, so I've been living amongst the very cold winters, as you mentioned, Swan, for a while now. But I grew up in
Yeah.
a place where holidays were sunny and warm, even though there's the creep factor of. I remember I was pretty young when I had the thought of like, look, I'm all about Santa. I loved spooky stuff even as a kid, but I was also all about Santa. But then there was that moment where I realized these two things kind of overlap: the creepiness of these creatures and an entity that is watching you at all times. The
And
when
literally comes into your house.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, without yeah, and oh, well, you don't have a chimney? That's okay. He's got a key, and he's always watching as well. Is there a particular moment that light bulb moment where you realized like this is a bit creepy? This holiday stuff is a little bit creepy.
I think I just sensed that there was something kind of supernatural, if you will, about the holiday and that it went beyond Christmas. I think it was just obvious that, the candles and the pagan thing of bringing a tree in the house and, the whole thing is very pagan. And I think you can just you sense there's something more to it than here's Santa Claus, here's a Rudolph. You know what I mean? Like you're like, wait a minute, there's something deeper here. And I think the more you look into it, you discover all those paganistic things and the ancient tradition of it. And I don't know, I just think that's really it's inspiring to me in a horror sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think it's the religious aspects because religion has always been something that kind of puzzled me. And as a queer person, I felt like sort of on the end of its pike for a long time. And my mother and father have different religions. So I always got exposed to like this array of different beliefs. And I'm like, well, what the hell do you believe in when your own parents are believing in, you know, different things? And then this idea of like, some resurrection and coming back from the dead and just all of that really does give you a backdrop of like sort of ritual and the season, and it is dark and it is creepy.
Yeah. I, I, like I said, I operate a lot in the spooky paranormal world. I talk about folklore and monsters and everything all year long. That's my job. And um, I've noticed that sort of instead of spooky season being relegated to September, October, it is bleeding over, I guess pun intended, to year round and into Christmas. Have you noticed that there we see the embrace of like Krampus, but have you two personally noticed that the weirdos weren't letting our freak flag fly and letting our spooky out year round, and it's kind of starting to dominate pop culture writ large?
Especially with Christmas, yes. I mean, you think of like Terrifier being set in Christmas time, the most recent one, and I just noticed a lot more. I mean, you could just put on like Shudder or whatever, and there's a whole list of new Christmas and winter themed movies. So yeah, I have noticed it bleeding over a lot more. I mean,
Yeah, and
the
just
whole Eli Roth Thanksgiving. I was like, okay, we're covering all the holidays here.
right. Yeah. I mean, I think horror is just becoming, pun intended, a monster of its own. It's just sort of everywhere. It's like, even right now, Five Nights at Freddy's like the biggest movie in the country. Anytime something comes out, like there's just a lot of people that love horror. Their eyeballs are on it. And some other stuff that we like to do, it's really prevalent around Halloween, where are all these like, the witch market and the dark market and this fair and that fair, where you can go and buy weird dark trinkets and stuff. I see more of that around the holidays now, where the witches and the weirdos are coming out even around Christmas, selling their wares, and it is becoming just more prevalent in pop culture.
Hmm. Well, finally, any tease for upcoming Boulet Brothers activity and Dragula, anything that you can tease out to keep an eye on?
Well, the
I
Titans 2 tour is coming, which I'm super excited about because the touring aspect of what we do, like the live show, is probably my favorite thing. And that'll be spring, summer. So just maybe 5 or 6 months from now.
Yeah, there's a lot more in the works, but nothing I would talk about until we take a little break here during the dead time of the year.
Right. Well, look, shamefully, the shameless plug here is that, man, I bring a paranormal person onto the show. I love what you're doing. I think it's great, and I want in. I want to come help be a guest judge at some point.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you for putting your name in the hat.
Yeah.
I have a closing question for you.
Yes.
What would you say is the most compelling piece of evidence to convince a skeptic that there is actually like a paranormal realm?
Well, I never try to convince people because I think it's all about having your own experience and then you got to decide on your own. I personally have had lots of crazy shit happen that I cannot explain. Recently, I was doing because I do a lot of Comic Cons and appearances throughout the country, and I was in Virginia City and not expecting anything to happen because I was just sort of keeping it chill. But hand to God, I saw what appeared to be sort of like a golem-esque type of creature crawling on the ground. And at the exact same moment that I saw it, a person sitting next to me leapt up, independently shouted out, like freaking out that they had seen the exact same thing. And then it quickly dissipated. But I'll tell you what, we get together and I'll tell you some stories, I'll show you some stuff, and we can kind of creep it real together because, yeah, I don't try to convince, but I think there's some pretty weird stuff out there.
I
I
would
love
love to
it.
do that. But remember, you were
Question.
at a Comic Con, so it could have just been like a very old school comic collector. You know?
Yeah, just maybe someone that needed some better hygiene and
Exactly.
yeah.
Crawling around on the ground, looking at all the corners to make sure it's mint condition.
Yeah, that's right.
Question. Virginia City. This might sound stupid. In California?
No, Virginia City, it's close to California. It's right over in Nevada. So it's
Okay.
it's about 30 minutes maybe outside of Reno. It's an old West town that still very much feels old West, like it's got the wooden sidewalks and a bunch of saloons and
Yeah.
everything.
The crooked sidewalks that are like wavy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay, so okay, just when we were on tour, and Drac and I will do this kind of every chance we get. If we go to a weird stop, we have a weird stop, or we had a night in Reno on our drive, and now I'm remembering, we're like, oh, Drac found it. He's like, what is this, Virginia City? We rented a car, we went out there. What a creepy cool place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the cemetery there, which was like
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's actually one of my favorite cemeteries to visit because of just how old and peaceful, but also kind of creepy. Like going for a morning run through there, where you do hear like strange things that you're not supposed to be hearing, early in the morning. Well, my friends, I'm glad we finally got to chat. I hope we get to chat again on your upcoming projects. And then when you come out to New York, let's get you on camera, fully done up, in costume, looking amazing.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was Swanthula Boulet and Dracmorda Boulet, the Boulet Brothers, executive producers as well as writers and directors on the Boulet Brothers Holiday of Horrors and the horror hosts of the Holiday of Horrors. Available on Shudder and AMC Plus December 16th. And these four chilling holiday themed horror tales, they are each created by a different powerhouse within the horror genre. And we're going to be talking to them. So, but that's it for right now. That's installment 1 with the Boulet Brothers. Stay tuned for the next one. Until that next one, I'm Aaron Sagers. This is Talking Strange. Be kind, stay spooky, keep it weird, and season screamings.